Welcome to this Lloyd Dowson briefing session on the budget. Nice of you to join us. My name is Dunn. This is my learned colleague Phil Thompson of the Lloyd Dowson Tax team, and we're here to just have a brief discussion on the budget, and we hope that you find some things of interest. Phil, the budget, as expected, there wasn't a lot of shocks in there or major changes, which I think was probably inevitable in election year.
Almost. I think he was people thought he perhaps maybe would do something more than he did, but it's not a surprise, as you say, that he's not done anything. But he tried to put a positive spin on things.
Well, he did. Well, I think it's true. The economy has strengthened, and it's continuing to get stronger. And I suppose he uses the adage that if it isn't broke, don't change it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What did you find of particular interest?
There was a few things in there. We had discussions in the morning about these few leaks that came out. Would he put things in, kind of deliberate leaks, if you will, and some of them didn't even materialise, which I thought was quite strange, to be fair. The interesting ones that jumped out for me were things like the annual investment allowance. We've long thought that it wasn't going to drop to the 25,000 in April 16. It's been too valuable to many businesses, in these parts and across the country to put it back down to 25,000. But he didn't really go far enough on that for me.
No, he didn't. As we know, the annual investment allowance, it's there to encourage investment in plant, machinery, equipment, get 100% tax relief on it. It was due to change or due to drop to 25,000 from $500,000. As it currently is at the end of December this year. It's good that he's pledged that it won't drop to 25,000, but very disappointing that he didn't say what it would. No,
a bit of an own goal on his part, to be fair, to give some more positive news to people. It seems as if he's missed a trick. He said he's going to increase it, as you say, but time frame wise, people need to plan their budgets for the next year. And,
absolutely.
He's said that he's going to announce an increase in his autumn statement. But that's probably a little bit too late.
Well, as you say, people need to plan. And around these parts, it particularly affects things like the leisure industry, farming, as well as manufacturing and transport industries, but leisure and farming being particularly predominant around here.
Absolutely. It is one of those reliefs that's across the board. But as I say, I think that was a surprise in the budget that it was an easy one for him to take, and he just didn't take it.
Yeah, that's true.
The other surprise for me in there was one that nobody kind of expected, was the idea of extending the farmer's averaging from 2 to 5 years. Didn't see that one coming at all.
No, absolutely not. And it'll be very, very interesting when the detail of that is announced to see exactly the mechanics of how it will work.
Yeah, that was a trait of his budget yesterday, that he gives some headlines but not much detail in it, really. It's going to be very, very valuable, particularly to our clients around these parts, of course, where we have many farming clients, and to be able to level their profits out over a 5-year period rather than the 2, which is already generous.
Yeah.
But tell us it's coming in April 16. It's almost kind of teasing us that it's there, but not telling us how it's going to work. Because the mechanics will be very detailed on that.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting, but it's good, it's encouraging, and it's good news for farmers.
Absolutely, it is a really, really positive thing, which is why I want to know more about it. But again, no time frames on that, as we said, which is a trait of yesterday's budget, I suppose. But the other thing which kind of came out as a bit of a leak yesterday morning, of course, was this headline grabber of tax returns to be abolished. So that's a few of us out of a job, Stan.
Yeah.
But again, when you look at the headline and you look at the devil in the detail, it's not quite as it seems, is it really?
No.
He's abolishing these tax returns in the idea of simplification, but at least initially it's going to be the very, very simple tax return clients that are going to be affected by
it. It is, and I think in reality what it'll be is basically just scrapping the paper tax returns.
Yeah.
And everyone will have to file online, perhaps in a different way, but people shouldn't get too excited about maybe not having to do a tax return in future.
Certainly not.
It'll still be there in one shape or form.
Absolutely. It's almost like he's put some spin on it and taken away the paper return which currently exists. So that's our take on it. He's pledging to create these digital tax accounts for everybody over the next few years by 2020. Interesting to see how that goes. Again, no real detail in that. Talk of people paying tax pretty much when they want. Don't see it myself.
Nope.
Again, let's see what the details say. But certainly moving towards changing the current tax return system, which will be interesting.
Indeed.
Interesting. And the next one in there for me was to do with national insurance for the self-employed, the complete abolition of Class 2 national insurance. currently standing at about £2.70, £2.80 a week.
Yeah.
He was changing how it was collected anyway. Now he's abolishing it altogether.
Yeah, that was interesting because they had announced that it was going to be changed. Currently it's paid by direct debit. It is archaic anyway, this Class 2 NIC. It used to be called the self-employed stamp. And it's collected separately from tax in Class 4 NIC, and it was silly. But what they did say was that they were going to simply collect it through the self-assessment system.
Which is a better move, really, and simplifies the system as it stands.
So whether he scraps it and then just ups the rate of Class 4 NIC a little bit, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, he did mention a reform of Class 4 along the same while, so don't expect it to disappear completely. It'll turn up as a 0.5 percentage point on Class 4, I'm sure, something like that. But again, we wait the details on that and see what's what's going on. But you know, that they were the kind of the first things that kind of jumped out as to you know, the changes he's made, which will affect a lot of our clients around here. You know, particularly the self-employed, particularly the farming clients.
Indeed.
You know, we'll just have to get back to you when we get the details ourselves, but we'll certainly do that.
I mean, if we come on to the changes that we know are happening, pensions, we knew that he'd do something with pensions, and he hasn't gone as far as I thought he would go, which is good news. The lifetime allowance is being dropped currently from 1.25 million to £1 million in April 2016. It won't affect a lot of people, but it will affect people like GPs where they've got no control over how much goes into their pension funds.
Absolutely, and you know, this has been ticking down for a number of years, and each time he does it, he kind of puts a protection scheme in place for those who've already got pension pots in excess of those amounts. So you know, we're expecting to see the details on that again, just to make sure you don't get penalised if you're already above that level. But again, as you say, it's ticking down. But I suppose he made some noises that it's not going to continue to tick down, because he's mentioned in a couple of years' time the £1 million that he's announced is going to be index linked and start to rise again. So I suppose that's the stop of the decline of the limits that he's mentioned, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah. And it's good that the pension allowance, the annual allowance that you're allowed to pay into pension, that's been frozen at £40,000. Yeah. It appeared at one time that he was going to drop that, but he didn't, which is good news. And it's also excellent news that that he's put no restrictions on relief for pension contributions. True. At the moment, high rate taxpayers get 40% relief on their pension contributions. It's been expected in the last few budgets that would be restricted, and it isn't. No,
good point from everybody trying to save for a pension, but I suppose that's what they're encouraging as well, isn't it? So, so yeah, that was pensions pretty much as expected, I think, in the budget there. A couple of other kind of smaller things, but I think there will you know, be some quite subtle changes that he's mentioned having a look and changing ISAs in one way, shape or another, hasn't he? Introduction of a bit more flexibility with the existing ISAs, which is currently just not available for folk once of putting their maximum.
You mentioned sort of putting into ISA, but then taking back out, then putting back in again. Yeah. So again, it'll be interesting to see what time frames.
Absolutely. I mean, currently, if you put your maximum in there, then you you know, take it back out. You possibly can't put any more in. Yeah. You know, he's taken that away, so you've got the free movement there of the ISAs. Probably to do with these new savings accounts or reliefs, which we'll come on to in a second. Because ISAs have probably, you know, not as advantageous as perhaps they once were. But
I think the other one though, the help to buy ISA sounds extremely interesting. It does. You know, under this scheme, whatever you put in, the government puts an extra 25% in, and it's an ISA that's specifically set up to help fund a deposit for a house for first-time buyers. Now that's a good scheme. I wondered, first of all, how that might work, but apparently it looks as though the government doesn't put anything into it until you actually get to the point where you're going to put a deposit down with your help to buy ISA.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's there obviously to help people get on the property ladder, and I think they've obviously had to put some restrictions on there to make sure that that's the only time they put the bonus in. So it's quite controlled. Limits are slightly different. The London limits of what first-time buyers can spend on a property. 450, rest of the country 250, but I suppose that's only to be expected really. But it encourages people to save and to do that, and also the fact that if you know, a couple are saving for a property, they each can have this and each can have the bonus as well. So,
absolutely,
you know, very generous.
Good news for young people.
Absolutely, absolutely. I suppose the other ones which we kind of knew about, he does tinker with dates, does the Chancellor. He tells us things that are coming in down the line, as it has done this time. We've kind of got there on a few other things he's announced previously, such as the national insurance changes. He's had the £2,000 national insurance allowance in for a little while. He announced previously that he was going to extend it into this coming year to 15, 16. You know, a great relief for small businesses.
It is, yeah, especially for small businesses.
Absolutely.
Employer NIC is often referred to as a tax on employers for the privilege of employing somebody. And it's good that these breaks are in there, and small employers particularly do benefit from it. It's good that he's extended it to under 21s, again to encourage employment of young people, and that's extended from April 2015. Next year, April 2016, extended again to apprentices under 25.
Absolutely.
So good news.
Yeah, good small little move, but it'll make a big difference to small businesses and employment of youngsters. So yeah, a good move on his part there. You know, the usual kind of stuff that he mentioned, which we were all kind of aware of, that the tax-free personal allowance is on the increase. We were kind of aware that it was going to go up to 10,600 from April. You know, he's increased that to 10,800, and then next year going up to 11,000. So all these things make a difference in what people can take home, which is good.
It makes bits of differences. They're all little cuts, but at least it's not going the other way.
He's got an aim to get there to about 12,500. That's what people refer to as the living wage. I think his aim is, but it's just how quick he gets there. But he's tagged it up to £11,000 for now, and we'll see where he goes.
And for middle income voters, he's pledging to up the level at which you pay higher rate tax, which has been pretty static for a few years.
It has, and you know, as the tax-free allowances come down, so has the higher rate threshold, to make sure that these people can't benefit over recent years. So this is a reversal of what he's been doing over the last 3 or 4 years, that people of you know, the middle incomes can actually start to benefit from it, which is again a good move all round, really.
What do you make of this married couples allowance, the ability to transfer unused allowance from one spouse to the other in certain circumstances?
Well, I think the headline grabber is good. It's going back to the old days of transferring married couples allowance and such. But I think it's you know, it is quite restrictive. It is a positive because it gives people more of a tax break. You know, the maximum that anybody can benefit from this is just over £200, £212. It's actually available to register online now, so we're going to see how this is going to work in practice. So
and you do have to physically apply for it as well.
It's not something that's going to
you have to take the initiative.
Yeah, I think alternatively as well, of course, is that the employed people can do it now and have it through their pay-as-you-earn codes coming in April. Those who do self-assessment tax returns, I'm sure that when the new form comes out, there'll be a claim box on there as well.
Indeed,
but interesting to see.
It helps the lower income married couples there.
It adds to all the small bits that you mentioned earlier. That
all the bits
overall it'll add up. But you know, that's an individual's point of view. But you know, then we'll look at the corporation tax rate again, something which is announced for quite some time that this is coming, and from next month it comes in at 20% across the board.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I mean, 20% across the board. We've got one of the lowest rates in the world. It encourages inward investment. If you consider that only 5 years ago the highest rate of corporation tax was 28%, that's a hell of a drop in the last 5 years.
It is. It's since they've been in government, they've obviously targeted this as turning the country around, and to be fair, I think it seems to have worked. It encouraged investment in this country, definitely.
Helps all local companies, well, national companies, but it's also an encouragement. If anybody's at 20%, if any businesses are trading as sole traders or partnerships at the moment with reasonable profits, they should seriously consider whether it's worth it to switch to limited company. There can be significant tax savings.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we'll be looking at all our clients in that position over the next coming months. But as I say, it does just open up more opportunities for people to trade and pay less tax.
Indeed.
So yeah, it's a great move across the country and for everybody locally as well.
Tax avoidance schemes we knew were going to be heavily targeted.
Sure.
I mean, obviously they've had so much bad press over the last couple of years now. Interesting though that they're also going to target the very aggressive tax avoidance scheme promoters, to the point where they're given a risk assessment and they have to disclose that risk assessment to any potential customers.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just cutting off at the source, I suppose, is the answer with these ones. But as you say, it's been a long time coming. Nobody likes these things in the public. You know, they see it for what it is. But they're after the ones who are doing it too aggressively, as you say.
Fortunately, Lloyd Dowson has been on the side where we've actively discouraged rather than encourage clients, unlike a lot of the other local firms around here.
Yeah, well, you can see it for what it is, can't you? So
Yeah.
the advice has got to be tailored accordingly. But yeah, those are going to be targeted, and be interesting to see those start appearing in the press in the near future to see what the revenue actually do with them. But so that's something again that was expected. I suppose what was a little bit expected was what he didn't do.
Yeah, indeed.
Perhaps,
No changes to some of the other major heads of tax, VAT, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, where he might have, there was a bit of a leak that he might do something with inheritance tax and didn't.
Yeah, there was talk of family homes, extending the inheritance tax relief on those kind of things. Again, as you say, it leaked out in the morning and then nothing of it. Yeah. All that came on that was attacking the scrutiny of deeds of variation on wills, but that was a direct.
I think it was a bit of a personal attack,
Miliband,
wasn't it?
was that one, but we'll see if anything comes of that, or rather it's just a headline grabber. But and then we're kind of down to I suppose the usual suspect when it comes to the budget. What the average man in the street is looking for is what's he going to do with his pint of beer?
Yep. I mean, I'll just quickly flick through them. I mean, we've got beer coming down 1p a pint again for the third year running.
Yep.
Cider and spirits is cut by 2%. Wine, tobacco, gaming, frozen, fuel frozen. Yep. But also more interesting that the planned increase later in the year has now been scrapped.
Yep.
And it's estimated that fuel now could be costing maybe up to £10 less, per fill-up than it was costing, which is quite a saving for your ordinary family.
It's reflection of the price of the oil and such as going on that
Yep.
part of industry. But again, extra help to the back pocket, which is great, really. So overall, I think he's done lots of little things. There's a couple of surprises in there. The farmers, which we mentioned from the outset, is something we should be particularly interested in our clients around here, which is absolutely out of the blue. And I suppose he's chipped away that increasing allowances, a few more pounds in your back pocket. It's a generally steady but positive budget, I would suggest. And it was good to see that he did mention that in the last 12 months that there's been more jobs created in Yorkshire than in the entire country of France, which I did enjoy. So that's our general walkthrough of the budget. Our contact details are on the screen if you want to get in touch, or contact us direct here at Lloyd Dowson. Hope you enjoyed our chat, and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks very much.